Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a full hard melodic rave techno track. I've learned a bunch of new stuff in this project file. There's a bunch of new techniques, so definitely don't miss this. I've never talked about a lot of this stuff on this channel before, that's why I made this new video. To go along with this video, you can get this full project file, the entire track template. This whole 7-minute long arrangement track template is available at the top of the description on my website. It literally includes everything: the kick, all of the drums, all the synths, all the effects, all the MIDI presets and samples as well, for a full track in the style. So you can take this and make the best music you've ever made in your life. Link is at the top of the description. Don't miss out, guys. It's really going to take your tracks to the next level. This is something you can do right now to instantly take your tracks infinitely higher than they've ever been before. Link is at the top of the description. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Every little bit helps. And let's dive into the video. So we're at 142 BPM, and the first thing we have up here is this sidechain. Now, this is not something I've done before on this channel. I don't usually do it, but I've been learning recently that this can make it sound a little bit better, because basically what we're doing here is it's just the kick. It's the same kick that we're using for our main kick here. But you can see I shortened it a lot, and then I muted it. And then what happens is you sidechain everything to this instead of sidechaining it to the kick. And since it's this short little, like if we play this, you can hear it. It's literally just like the start of the kick. But since it's so short, you don't get like everything kind of taking so long to come back up from the sidechain. You get this very fast, like it kind of bounces right back up. Like I'll show you with the bass. Right, so you can actually get like kind of a better sidechain this way, I think. But then also, if you want it to take a while to come back up, you can just turn up the release. So that's the first thing up there. And I think that's gonna already make it sound better than if you sidechain everything to the kick. But yeah, so then we have our kick. So this kick is made with 2 layers. We have our main kick, right? Just a nice fat punchy kick. And then we have our rumble. Now this is where we have some new technique. So basically it's the same arpeggiator rumble I've shown you guys, where it's a 16th note, and then it's just that same kick. Just, you can see I pitched it down a bit and I low passed it. And then it's going into a reverb and an amp and a drum bus. So you're getting this. Right, just this super full sounding thing. Then we have an EQ which cuts out everything below like 22 hertz or so that it's not getting in the way of the mastering or anything like that, and cutting out headroom in the track. And we're also cutting the highs so that this is just that nice rumbly low bass. And then the last thing we have on here, this is where the new technique comes in, is this utility. So we're using this actually to kind of shape the bass. And this is really just recreating a sidechain, right? The reason why we're not sidechaining it up here, though, is with the bass in particular, you really want to be careful with the way you shape this, like, kind of pulsing effect. Like, I wanted to have a little bit more control over it. And you can see I went in and did the little tiny details here. Like, it's very specified how this is actually shaped. But all you have to do is you just design this one quarter note, like I just made that, and then you just duplicate it throughout the track. So it's not like I'm going through this whole thing and doing each one of these individually. It's just make one, like you can literally just loop a quarter note, make one of these, and then just duplicate it over and over. But again, this just allows you to make it bounce up off of the kick, but you can control it a little bit more. And if Ableton had like an LFO tool type of plugin, you can just do that with that. But this is how we do that. And this is how you can get around that. So, because the thing is also, like, there's some plugins like Shaperbox, LFO tool that you can pay money for. And if you're just using them for volume, that's literally all they're doing. It's just the same thing as if you sat there with that utility and just drew that in. So you can actually get that kind of shaping just with Ableton stuff. You don't need those plugins if you're down to draw that in. And then on the group here, there's just this EQ cutting out below 30 hertz. Again, we can't hear that, but it can get in the way of headroom for your mastering. We also have a high pass filter which comes on at a few different times. Mainly in the intro and outro, yeah. Cool, then we have the lead. Now, if we're looking at this musically, we're using our root note, our fourth, our fifth, and our sixth. Oh, but actually down here, that's actually just another sixth. Because we're in the key of G sharp minor. If you look at the bass line, yeah, you can see that. So we're actually using the sixth down there, and then the fifth, another sixth, and then a fourth. So it's actually just 3 voices, 3 notes. But you can hear, you can create a very interesting pattern with just 3 notes. You don't need that much. You can also hear this root note being actually the 6th. It goes really nicely with the bass. Now, for the sound on this one, it's made with wavetable. We have 2 layers. One, which is just a bunch of unison. So you can see it's just these 2 saw waves, detuned a bit. Low pass filter with an envelope. And then also a little bit of a pitch envelope there too, which is this really fast little like clicky thing. Which makes the lead a little bit punchier. And then this is the exact same synth, but no unison. So you get one that's very like, you know, wide and fat, and then one that's right down the center, and when you put them together, you get one very full sounding synth. I think if you just use the unison synth, a lot of times it can sound a bit messy. This is a good way to make that really full and fat. Then we just have a bit of echo and reverb, a little bit of drum bus, which you can see we're still keeping mostly dry. It's just being blended on there. We have this being sidechain. So that same sidechain up top, again having the shorter one sounds a lot better, I think, with the kick. Right, because you're still getting that ducking, but it's just not so like long. We have a low pass filter, which just transitions us throughout the track, as well as this washout. And then we have the bass. So if we're looking at this musically, again, we're in the key of G sharp minor. We're using our root note, our 6th, our 4th, and our 5th. So 3 of the same notes that the lead is using, and then just obviously you want to make sure if this is going to be like this bass line, at some point it's playing like the root note of whatever key you're in, right? So it really establishes that. But yeah, very simple. And like these 2 elements use pretty much the same notes, but they can play completely different things, and them being the same notes is going to make it really cohesive sounding. Like the fact that they use the same 3 notes with the bass just adding one is going to make these 2 fit together really nicely in terms of like in the track. For the sound on this one, it's made with analog. It's just 2 saw waves, detuned a bit. Got a low pass filter with a lot of automation throughout, so you can see it's pretty much constantly moving, right? This never just sits in the same place. In the amp envelope like that, a bit of vibrato and unison. I have some pretty heavy drum bus to make this nice and fat. A high pass filter, because even though this is a bass, you need this to fit together with the rumble and the kick, right? And you can see once I turn off that high pass filter, that's when all the clashing happens. So yeah, just making sure you cut out those lows. We have this utility converting the bass to mono, as well as a compressor, which is sidechaining this to that sidechain at the top. And then we have this pad. So you can hear what this is doing. It's changing notes at the exact same time as the bass, right? But it's playing different notes, and it creates these chords. And all you really have to do this is pretty much it's just notes from this G sharp minor scale. Like there's no, it's not like any particular formula of like, oh, well, if the bass is playing the root note, play the 5th or something like that. It's like, you know, it's just notes that sound good, like that are in the scale. Pretty much that's it. And this is where we start to use more notes than just that 5th, 4th, and 6th and root note that you've seen. Like we got, okay, so it starts on the 5th. Then we go to the root note, minor third, minor seventh, root note, minor third, ninth, minor seventh again. So again, like, you know, nothing like too complicated, but if you understand these minor scales, you can do this very quickly. Now, for the sound on this one, it's made with wavetable. It's that classic just wavetable square wave with noise unison. You know, super like crispy sounding. We got a bit of reverb, some drum bus, low pass filter which transitions it throughout the track, constantly moving. You'll notice in the intro it doesn't go all the way up also, so that this part feels more exciting. And then it's just being sidechained to the sidechain at the top. And then the last melodic sort of thing we have here is going to be this rave chord. So this is pretty ambient, right? It's just like this stab. But if you listen to it in the track, it's going through a bit of chord or a bit of echo and reverb, some drum bus, and it's being sidechained so it really fits into the beat rhythmically. And it also has a low pass. Check out how this fits in. Right, just having that bow, 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 like that, I think really adds something nice to the track. And it's super simple. It's not playing a super hectic pattern. You know, it's not super busy. It's just 2 notes every bar. And then you get like a nice kind of thing happening with that. So the next sound we have here is going to be our main hi-hat. Now this is a pretty standard case of layering, but I think it illustrates something really well, which is usually one hi-hat sample is not going to give you everything you need. Right here we have this one, which is like our standard, you know, big fat 909 hi-hat, but it's not really as punchy, right? So then we add in this, which is literally just all punch. It's just and now you get the perfect thing. You get the 909 hi-hat with a little bit of punch. So this is where layering can come in, right? Like I could sit here all day and maybe some saturation or something like that would probably add a similar thing kind of to the 909, but this is the cleanest way to do it. It's literally just one sample is just right at the start, and then you get this long 909 riding out. Then we have this effects loop, which I'll play that with the kick so you can really hear, and like the rest of the drums, so you can really hear how it's fitting in. Right, so, and then you can hear it in the whole track too. So the way this is made is it's taking just a few different effects samples, and it's creating this little groove between them. You can see like, yeah, that's the pattern. Right, so this is just some of my effects from my old Essential Track Effects packs, and then I've chopped them up. And then it's really rhythmic, right? Like it just fits into the beat really nicely. And it's using these 2 different samples to create this call and response pattern. Again, not hard to do, but it's just one of those things that you gotta get in and do rather than like looking for a sample pack loop or something like that. It's going through a bit of distortion, some reverb, more distortion, and auto pan, which you can see the phase is on 0 and it's on quarter notes with the inverted saw wave, so it's just making that bounce off of the kick. We have a low pass filter which brings us in and out throughout the track, and then a high pass filter. Then we have the percussion. So this is using 2 of my Rave loops. You can hear they do 2 very different things. And then you put them together and you get this one really full sounding percussion. So this is really nice. And one thing you'll notice is that in the intro, it's only the first one, right? So you don't even get the second one until the second drop. And I think that's a really important arrangement tool because this intro is fine with just one. You don't need the second one. There's no reason why you have to add that. And then this way, when the second drop comes, and now all of a sudden it's more percussion than you've heard, but it's all still like fitting together nicely, it's going to make that second drop on a subconscious or conscious level, if you notice it, feel very, very fresh and new. So, yeah, we've got that, and then there's just a low pass filter, which kind of brings us down in a few points. Then the last drum we have here is just this ride, which is actually just shortened. It's going through a bit of saturation and a high pass filter, and it just adds a bit of high end to the hi-hat. Right, it's not meant to be like a full like that kind of a ride, just a nice punchy, quick high end blast. And yeah, then the last thing we have down here is just the effects. You can see there's a bunch of little effects just here and there. You know, like those little things. Little transitions. You don't want to have too much though. The key here is it's very sparse and it's kind of random. Like, it's not super predictable. It's not like you just think every 8 bars you're going to get this same little do-do-do-do-do-do-do, you know, kind of fill. It needs to be kind of unpredictable. And it's really what you got to do is you make all the stuff up top, right? Like, get the kick and the bass and the drums and the synths, and then you're going to go at the end and just listen for the places where these need to be. And try to do it as little as you need. Like, don't overdo it. But then at the same time, like, don't just have it be, like, completely dry, right? And then the other thing we have here is, like, this 909 snare. And a little reverse crash. Right? And that's not even just about the elements. It's also about, like, just building it up. Having that really empty moment where everybody at the rave can go, woo! And then it smacks you in the face again with the full techno. And so for the snare build, it's actually a little bit interesting. With this one, you can see I was listening to some older trance type tracks, and I noticed they do like these snare rolls where the velocity is like like that. So you can see I did that here, and I was trying to kind of recreate that old school, like, you know, it just gives a little bit more rhythm to it. This is just a 909 snare, some drum bus, washout, which builds it up in there, and also you can see there's a utility building up the volume and making it disappear at the end. And yeah, so that's gonna be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full entire track template, all the samples, the MIDI, the presets, literally everything. The full track is available, the project file as well. It's available at the top of the description on my website. Do not sleep. This is a really high quality track. You could literally just take this and probably send it to labels and get it signed. Or you could take it and work on it. You could tweak it. Even just use it to learn from, or use it to generate some new inspiration. This is a super valuable resource. Do not miss out. If I was you guys and I was learning how to produce and this video was out here, I would not be able to miss out on any of these packs. I'm telling you guys, I'm really trying to give you the cheat codes here to help you learn and make your best music. Link is at the top of the description. Thank you so much for the support, guys, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.